Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Started. I thought that's good. That's good. I'll watch all. Pragadish, it started, Pragadish. Thank you so much, Pragadish. I had listened the voice, but I had seen the YouTube here. I think probably we made a trial of it, right? Yeah. Welcome, sir. Saudi, sir. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting us. Uh, Governor, are we audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
So you can call me by my name. I know it's ready to be the
Pragadish, it started, Pragadish. Thank you so much. So can you come again, sir? Saudi, sir? I had listened the voice, but I had seen the YouTube. Lata ma'am, could you please mute yourself, Lata ma'am?
Yeah.
Lata ma'am, could you please mute? Yes, Saudi, sir.
Yeah. You can call me Sarab, SARV. Uh, I think that will make. Uh, Please avoid sir at the end. I will highly appreciate that.
Okay, sir. Fine.
So let me know what is the procedure here. Will it starting with the panel or there are other people to join?
Sir, we principal. Welcome, sir. Saudi, sir. Welcome.
I think there is an answer.
Sorry, sir. Sir, principal sir yet to join the program. We're just making a call to him. He'll be joining by sharp 11 o'clock. And after that, there will be a formal introduction. Then the program will be starting it off, sir.
Perfect. And how much time I have? I think I have 1 hour. And is
So,
there
yeah, 1 hour, sir. 1 hour, sir. And after the question and answer sessions will be there. That I think students are participating in the program. They'll be raising their doubts so that you have to clarify it all. Then that we can wind up the session by 1 o'clock, sir.
okay? So in total the session we are anticipating is 1.5 something.
Yes, sir. 1.5 hours, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I'll try to wrap it up in between that. And the slides I have will consume like 45 minutes from our side. And I will more than happy to have a lot of discussions. That is something I always cherish. Uh, so I'm more than happy to answer any kind of queries. and my prior experience with other universities. Like I'm more than happy to share that. Right.
Okay, sir. Vidya ma'am, we asked the students to join, ma'am. We are just waiting for the students too, ma'am.
Okay, no problem.
Pragadish, can you ask our students to join the program, Pragadish? To yes, yes, now. Pratyusha, are you ready, Pratyusha?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, be ready, Kana.
Yes, ma'am.
Pratyusha,
Yes, ma'am.
you can
Start.
ask Vidya ma'am to give the presidential address. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. We can. Vidya ma'am, can we start the program, ma'am?
Yes.
Principal sir actually is an offline program, it seems. So he asked us to start it, ma'am. That's why, ma'am. Oh, yeah, please give us the
Okay.
presidential address, ma'am. Okay, Pratisha, you can start the program.
Yes, greetings to the August gathering. This is K. Pratyusha and balancing act, taking and then relax and extending a hearty welcome to you all for the day's workshop on problem solving and ideation, organized by the charter team of Institution Innovation Council of Dwaraka Dakshinavardhan International College. Let us begin the program by seeking the blessings of the Almighty with college prayer followed by the
सत्यव्रतं सत्यपरं त्रिसत्यं सत्यस्य योनिं निहितं च सत्ये सत्यस्य सत्यं धृतसत्यनेत्रं सत्यात्मकं त्वां शरणं प्रपन्नाः वाणी गुणानुकथने श्रवणो कथायां हस्तौ च कर्मसु मनस्तव पादयोर्नः कृत्यां शिरस्तव निवास जगत्प्रणामे दृष्टिस्ततां दर्शनेषु भवत्तनूनाम् नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णायाद्भुतकर्मणे रूपनामविभेदेन रूपनामविभेदेन जगत्क्रीडति यो यतः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
நீராறும் கடமுழுத்த நிலவடங்கை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிகு எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனும் திருநாளும் அரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் நடைபுலகும் இசையும் மனக்கை இளவை திறந்து செய்ய மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Now, I welcome Dr. P. Vidya ma'am, convener of Institution Innovation Council, for the presidential address.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Respected chief guest, for the respected secretary, beloved principal, Captain Dr. S. Pankaj Babu, Vice President of IAC, and the startup team, my dear friends and children. I, Dr. P. Vidya, As a convener of Institutional Innovation Council of Dwarkada Govardhan Das Vaishnav College, feel honored to deliver presidential address for this workshop on problem solving and ideation. See, nowadays, high unemployment rate has been a major problem for developing countries, and generally, unemployment is caused by three main factors like inability of a country to provide enough vacancies and low educated and unskilled human resources, and finally the weak capacity for national capital formation. However, there are ways to attenuate unemployment, such as providing proper education and training for those who are unemployed, as well as fostering the spirit of entrepreneurship among young minds. To overcome this issue, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, Government of India, has established the MHRD Innovation Cell, that is MIC, to systematically foster the culture of innovation among all higher education institutions. And this MIC has proposed encouraging creation of Institutional Innovation Council, that is IOC, across selected higher education institutions. A network of this IIC will be established to promote innovation in the institution through various modes of leading to an innovation promotion ecosystem in the campus itself. Since the launch of IIC on November 2018, more than 1,600 institutes have been established this kind of institutional innovation cell. We proudly announce that Dwarkadas Govardhan Das Vaishnav College also has established this institutional innovation cell as per the norms of innovation cell, Ministry of Education, Government of India, on 29th October 2021. And I am happy to share that this cell, that is Dwarkadas Govardhan Das Vaishnava College Institutional Innovation Council, so far conducted 12 calendar activities and 10 self-driven programs on this subject. Congratulations to my team, and I will take this opportunity to thank our beloved principal and secretary for the constant encouragement. There are better starters than me, but I am a stronger finisher. This powerful quote is quoted by Usain Bolt, the faster man on the earth. When we have a good beginning with great support and motivation, the journey will definitely take us to a planned destination. Today, special invitee Mr. Savdeep Sandhu will give more information on this record. Sir, we are all are keen to hear from you about your journey, knowledge, and success mantra. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya.
Thank you so much, Vinod.
Thank
May
you.
I now invite? Thank you so much, ma'am. May I now invite Dr. S. Lata ma'am to deliver the presidential address. Welcome address. Sorry, to deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to one and all present here. On this wonderful day, we have all gathered virtually here to join the workshop on problem solving and ideation organized by the IISc Dwarka Das Govardhan Das Vaishnav College. I have immense pleasure in all of you for this wonderful workshop. I thank our principal, Dr. S. Santosh Babu sir, and our secretary, Shri Ashok Kumar Mundraji for their consent and encouragement. I also thank Dr. R. Kumaran, Vice President, IISc, and Dr. P. Vidya, Ma'am, Convener, IISc of our college, for their constant guidance and support and for this wonderful opportunity. I thank Mr. D. Prem Kumar, IISc Coordinator, and Dr. D. Yamuna Ma'am, team member, and other team members for their student cooperation and all student participants. I especially welcome the speaker of the day, Mr. Sarvadeep Sandhu. He is the general manager of Significant Solutions, and I thank him for accepting our invitation and honoring us. The Innovation and Startup Council of our college is started to encourage entrepreneurship culture and innovation spirit among students and faculty to make our students industry ready professionals and provide necessary skill sets to spearhead them in future. Mr. Sarvadeep Sandhu is General Manager of Significant Solutions in India and Significant Solutions in Delaware, USA. Hello. A graduate from Thapar University. Research.
Students are requested to mute yourself. Dashit, mute yourself.
Thapar University, Research and Technology. He has always been close to his heart. He is an expert of US, European, and Asian patent laws with more than 8 years of technical and client handling experience. He has worked closely with several Fortune 500 companies like Intel, Hynix, and assisting them with their IP requirements. He has the skill set to handle both prosecution and litigation searches, such as landscape, freedom to operate, invalidation, infringement, tech transfer, scouting, and market research are a few studies to name. IP commercialization and valuation is one of the important areas on which he regularly advises his clients. In addition to searching, he has also assisted in 1,000 patent and trademark filing cases for foreign and native clients. He also holds a prior experience as an entrepreneur, as a founder of two startups, one in the field of IP and other in e-commerce. He has delivered talks previously in NITTR University, NIPER, CIVET, SIRT, TIE Chandigarh ISB, Thapar University, GGDSD College, Chandigarh, and RD. We welcome you once again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lata, for such a wonderful welcome. And I hope we can start our session from here. Right. So I guess we can start it from here, and sharing my screen sooner or later. Before that, would like to thank Dr. Vidya and Dr. Yamna and Ms. Lata for inviting us, Principal Sir, for giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts with all the young ones. And definitely, it's an honor for us as well for addressing such a session. Dr. Yamna, I hope we can start our session and I can share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Let me share screen again. Right. So just let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So before starting up, I'll start with my entrepreneur journey and what exactly I was doing before joining this organization as general manager. So I started with a curious mind of either solving the puzzles and coming up with the solutions for problems which I can find it up any point of moment. Right. So before that, let's discuss about some of the ideations and what are the process for it. Right. Before, when you go for a startup culture, you need to have a very brilliant idea, which is verified by multiple aspects, right? So the normal question that comes to me from the students in the startup community is that how the selection of the idea should be in an effective manner, so that the losses and the probability of winning the war is on the higher ground. So first of all, let's get an idea about what is actually we mean by saying like it's what is idea generation, right? So when we talk about idea generation, it's a combination of generation, development, and communication. So what exactly it means? It means you create something. It should be in an implementation point of view also, and then it should be communicated to others. When I say communicated, I mean it's in terms of the business revenues, right? So any idea which is not having a business potential is not as something which is on a innovative ground, right? And that might not be something which can contribute to our economy. And first of all, and highly appreciate on that count that universities are currently going ahead and creating an innovation center, which is I feel is one of the needs in the Indian culture. Because with my prior experience working with the Jefferson University and Washington University, that culture has been built from the very scratch of the foundation of the universities, and that is something which we are currently adapting it. And if we talk about the generation of the idea, it is combination of creativity and innovation, right? So if we talk about creativity, what exactly is creativity, right? So it is like doing things differently. It's a very generic statement. What exactly it means, right? I've given an example in the slide, which you can see that there is a Flipkart logo, right? So what Flipkart did was something on a creativity ground. So let's understand what was the model behind Flipkart. Flipkart was a company which solved two major problems. Uh, First one was the logistics. Second was the accessibility, right? And if we are aware that this particular problem has been addressed by multiple companies in the past and maybe before the Flipkart even born in 2008 and 2007. So this was initially solved by eBay and the Amazon, where the logistics part and the delivery of the goods from one place to another, which is accessibility, is something which was solved by them, right? So what Flipkart did was creatively different than what Amazon or eBay's were doing, right? So that is where the small changes of an idea generation comes into the picture. So what Flipkart did, they changed the very simple mechanics of the way of working. They stopped charging the customers the delivery fees. That was a small initiative that was done by Flipkart, but it was creatively so brilliant that they captured the market on a much quicker pace as compared to the Amazon or eBay's, which took like 15, 20 years, right? So this is something which is on the ground of creativity, doing things differently, which has already been done, but in a different manner. So what we talk about innovation. So what exactly is innovation? Innovation is slightly jumble of the words, and it is doing different things. What Tesla did. So Tesla created a market which was not there, right? So the idea behind Elon Musk is that he wants to create a need which was not rightly addressed, or it was not what customers were aware of, right? When Alan started the Tesla, there was no need for electric vehicles. There was stocks, but there was no need for it. So he created a need by going to the path of innovation and doing the things which was existingly done by the petrol or diesel or kerosene, other kind of engines, right? So that is the different aspects of innovation that was captured. And when we talk about an idea, it should always be a combination of creativity and innovation, because end of the day, these both aspects need to be together to be a very successful startup or entrepreneurship. So if I move it to the second slide, so let's talk about what kind of approaches we can utilize to get an idea. Uh, the most common utilization is the pooling ideas. So what exactly is pooling idea? Let's suppose we got a startup, and we what happens generally with the startup culture is that when I started my organization, the whole idea behind was I had couple of plans, but I knew what are the people with whom I want to start, right? That is the most important aspect. First, you have to select the people, and then the ideas will come into the picture. So, pooling idea or brainstorming is equivalent. So, what happens is you sit together in a group and you pull up the random suggestions. So, let me give you one example which came out of it. Qualcomm is one of the chip manufacturing companies that it is one of the big giants when it comes to the revenues in terms of telephones and in terms of laptops and other gadgets. So what happened was there was a set of scientists who were working. They were filing patents at individual level. So one of them said, why don't we collaborate and sit together to build an organization? But the idea was to just to sit, not to create something out of it. The create something out of comes on the later stage when they started analyzing what are the different suggestions. And one of them started why we can't build a revenue model out of selling IP. That was something which was never thought of it, right? So Qualcomm generated a revenue from a different set of ideas from a different scientist by bringing those set of minds together and sitting and suggesting that what we should be doing. That's the most common approach and which is most important one also, right? So the whole process is to bring as much as ideas on table so that you can do the selection procedure there, right? So and the second approach is more of improving the existing product, what most of the startups are currently doing. So we talk about Ola and the Uber. So what they're currently doing is they are improving the existing market, right? So recently Ola started the Ola scooters, right? This was one of the game changers in the Indian industry, and they have never seen such kind of bookings for any commercial, any private vehicle in terms of electric appliances. And if we talk it by the Ether's point of view, Ether is another electric scooter manufacturer for the past several years in India, but they were not able to achieve such an influenceable market as compared to the Ola. So what happened was Ola improved what is existingly there, right? So they changed the overall scenarios. And here I've given an example. Here on the extreme right side of the image, it is being divided into parts, right? So you can see that what are the phase one and the phase two. If you are existingly improving some process, that is also comes under the idea generation, and that is you can say 90% of the startups in the global industry is more focused towards improving the existing models. And here, as we initially discussed, the Flipkart is another example of it, because Flipkart improved the process that Amazon and eBay was delivering, right? Respect to a completely replicate. So yeah, so these are the two approaches that you can always follow for the idea generation, pulling it up and improving the existing. For improving, what I always prefer is to have an eye for seeing what is not right or what is something which can reduce your time in or which can increase your efficiency or efficacy, right? So this is what we discussed for till now, and let's focus on how you can find an idea. That is one of the important aspects, right? So when I started my first startup, so the whole idea behind that startup came to me like 3 years back when I was in college before starting first association with an organization. In the third year of my college, I was doing a graduation from Thapar, and then there was a subject by the organization behavior that is something one subject is there, and then there is a chapter by the name of trademark, copyright, and patents. And that chapter influenced me in such a manner that I thought that there can be so much of power in single person's hand if that person is having a portfolio of patents, right? And then I started drilling the information about this industry a lot, right? So I got my idea from reading the chapter in a book in my graduation, right? So that's the one way of getting an idea, right? So what can be other ways? Reading books. This is one of the most important, and this is something which I always do. My target is always to read around 35 books in a year. I know it is less. You should guys be doing way more than me. But currently, with the time span, I'm able to achieve that. Web browsing. We all do that. We all come up with the threading functions. Like that is basically on which the whole advertising agency works. We start from one page, we move to another, and another. Right. This is called threading, and that is where you start understanding. If you start particularly with a particular topic in mind, right? So let's take a hypothetical example. We work, we want to work in, let's suppose, a finance industry or maybe an education sector, because currently education is one of the most fastest growing sector I have ever seen in my past 10 years. So if we start by the education sector, so first thought from your side should be understanding what is the education sector and how they are delivering, right? And what are the gray areas which I can capitalize. For that, you need to research a lot when it comes to the browsing, web browsing. Then comes observations, right? This is I feel it is the most important one. When you analyze or when you see a product, you start observing that what is missing, what can be another solutions to it, right? That is very important. That is something which we always call, teachers always call, is a critical thought process, right? So you should have that. That's a must scenario for any entrepreneur, any person who's willing to go on this journey, right? Writing journals. This is something which I highly recommend to especially the Indian institutes. Write as many as journals as possible in your education tenure, right? That's very important, because that gives you a process of understanding your research, right? This is very important for you, and that is something I will highly recommend people doing. The last one is the socialize outside your normal circle. So let me tell you a story from my side. When I started with the first thought process for my first organization, so I sat with a couple of friends of mine. I told, okay, I'm going to start with this. Would you be a part of it? Uh, Let me tell you what happened exactly in those scenarios. Because when you come with an idea, that idea belongs to you. That may or may not influence others in a similar manner, right? So that is why I initially mentioned brainstorming or pooling the idea is very important from each and every member of the team or the group that is going ahead with the start. So what happened? I came with an idea. I told others, they liked it, they loved it. So we said, okay, let's start working it on, right? And this is what we were talking about when I was in college in the final years of my graduation, and we started building it up. We started researching it up. Slowly, I felt that in the end, I was the only person, sorry, who was focusing on the research, because that idea belongs to me, right? The others might not feel that idea, or that they don't cherish that idea in a similar manner, right? So what I realized that the normal group circle might not be a helping hand for me, because when you come with an idea, that's a roller coaster ride. You need to be on the ground where people treat you in a manner where they give you directly to your face, like this idea may work and this portion of the idea is not right. So you need to go out, you need to attend a lot of sessions from the people who have been on this path. You need to learn from them. You need to learn from their mistakes. The whole session that we're discussing today is I'll sharing what are the mistakes that I made in the idea selection and the procedure, so that you guys can do a better perspective and better process than me, right? So moving out of your normal circle is very important for you, especially during your education. Go to some sessions, attend some webinars online, talk to the people who have already on this path. They will guide you what are the right and wrongs they have taken it. Then come up with an idea, right? Then evaluate it with a lot of discussions with these guys, right? So that is how you can overall find an idea from your point of view. You need to observe, you need to have a browsing understanding, you need to read a lot. Writing journal is very important on the technical ground if you're going to launch a product in the technical aspect. And definitely move out of your normal circle. Talk to the startup people, talk to the people who have already been to this path, discuss your innovations in that. Okay, discuss the industries that you are going to target, right? And I will go into a bit of a technical aspect for you to understand. So when idea comes into the picture, there is a two part of it. One is the creation and the diffusion. So I've discussed both the curves with you. So what happens is generally when we start having the sessions and sitting on what kind of industries we are getting, we start with the time and quality curve, right? So here in the extreme left side, you can see that the graph with the quality and time with the idea creation. So what happens is you first sit and you bring up with a good ideas. You list like 10 ideas that you want to go ahead, right? And sooner or later your ideas quality start getting degraded. That is something a very basic process, and I always recommend entrepreneurs to do it. Every person who's looking to launch some product definitely need to do this activity. So once I ask you to list like 20 startup ideas, the first five will be a relevant one, maybe a good one. Let's take an example that we want to do something in the e-commerce, right? Somebody can say that, okay, we want to build a shoe market, which is not purely on the shoe industry, right? So we want to do e-commerce on the shoe market. Some say we can do in the maybe in the telephone sector or mobile sector, but these are all relevant ones, right? Then there can be a vague ideas which has nothing to do with the industry we are targeting, right? Because that's the saturation part, and 99% people stop thinking beyond that. That's something which I feel is the pain point for our startup community. Because if we stretch it beyond that, we might come up with some novel ideas. And now let me give you my example, because I thought of an industry. I knew that this industry has been, potentially a very good industry for the past 4 5 years, and in next 3 4 years, the IPR industry will be booming it up. That was I was very well aware, but I haven't selected a topic which is on a noble ground, right? So I've selected a relevant topic, right? So definitely a relevant topic to the industry. When I talk about the relevant, let me clarify on that. When I talk about the relevant industry, it means if we are going to launch something in the e-commerce, we talk about replicating a Flipkart or maybe some section of a Flipkart, or maybe we talk about my second startup, which was e-commerce company in terms of organic produce, right? So that's a relevant industries. That's a relevant industry which are already in an existing portfolio, and there are several competitors in the ground, right? But if we stretch it up beyond that, we might come up with a novel idea, like Alan came up with. He came up with electric cars, right? He wanted to build those cars in early 2000s, right? So that was a novel idea that moment. What Flipkart did was a relevant idea because that was an existing market there. They capitalized on that, right? So these are two approaches which you can follow: the relevant approach or the novel approach, right? And let's discuss the Flipkart in a more deeper manner by the idea diffusion curve. So what happens is most of startups come to me and they are in a very early stage of 1 or 2 years, and they say, "Sir, it's not working for us." I said, "You're given 1 or 2 years to a topic, so how you're planning to work it out? That's not possible, right?" So definitely the way investors are thinking right now is completely different than what we used to do like 10 years back, right? So then now the people need to give the returns on a much quicker manner. So your idea should be something which is targeting a particular industry which is currently active. Else you need to have a strong backing and strong numbers to defend an idea which might come handy in next 3 or 5 years, right? So what happens is, uh, I hope everybody knows about recharging from the online. I was in the college at that moment. It's 2006 or 7, 10 years when people started going to recharging their phones from online, right? So that was something which was not previously done, and the market was not ready for it, right? And there was a huge amount of challenges that was there, right? So I still remember I have a friend by the name Yogesh, and he was the one who was we call it in the, for any kind of recharge for our mobiles, right? So he was the person who's trusted on free charge or other kind of online charging platforms at that moment, and he was one of the 2.5 people, that is percent people, that is in the uh, innovators who actually know that this thing can work, right? So he started putting a lot of money into these startups and started utilizing and publicizing those, right? So what happens is that later on, after seeing that, okay, this thing is working and people are not being cheated, because online payment is something which still some of the people are not comfortable, right? But most of the people are now comfortable. But 10, 15 years back, nobody was comfortable putting their credentials of the cards on the online, right? So he was one of the people who started utilizing it, and he was the one who motivated others, right? So once people start seeing the responses out of it, which may take from 6 months to 2.5 years. So this is the basic time for innovators and early adapters, right? Where you will have a very limited business. And then comes the majority of people when everybody from the college started utilizing the free charge for online services, and that guy ran out of business, right? And later on, what comes is a major late majority, and then comes a laggers, which our parents used to do. Like they came at the last moment. In like my father did the first online recharge in 2019, right? So it took him like almost 10 years to have a trust. So, but there are people in that direction. So this curve is very, very important in terms of what kind of idea you're selecting. So an industry which is completely novel, not exploited, this curve is something which will be in the range of 7 to 10 years, right? But if I start today and say that, okay, I want to do an e-commerce company, so this range of the laggers or maybe the whole diffusion curve is not more than 2 years, right? So your selection of an idea is dependent upon the industry you're going after, and that is directly proportional to the amount of investment that you can chunk it up from the investors, right? So moving to the next point, what quality research you can do. Okay. So normally what happens is what we always do the industry, that there are three I's. One is idea, in industrialization, and IPO, right? Idea is something you come up with, right? Then you see what is the industrialization of it. It can be a brilliant idea, but it is not having an industrial value. It is of no use, right? So if, just to give you a hypothetical example, that Elon Musk, I'm taking two examples right away because I feel that that is more correlative with the US. So if we talk about Elon Musk, he started manufacturing electric cars way back in 2004 and 5, right? But that was a failure at that moment because there was no industry for it, right? And if we talk to an example of a country like India, where still the electric vehicles are not majorly commercialized, right? So we are still in the phase of early adapters as per the idea diffusion curve for the electric vehicles, right? So the industrialization is very, very important when it comes to the idea from your side. So always focus on what kind of market you are achieving. If we talk about electric vehicles, it's $1 trillion market, right? So you are capturing a huge market, you will have a huge potential, and your startup can have valuation of billions, right? But if you are targeting a very small or niche industry, because I was recently discussing with one of the professors, and they were making flavorable pencils, which is like consumable in the later stage, and the spoons, which are majorly aggressively being on the ground, which is consumable, right? So these are the small markets currently, because a lot of people are not ready to uh, invest in such scenarios, right? So you have to see what kind of idea you're going after and what is the market behind it. And if you got a good idea and you got a good market, definitely look forward to IP as a protection for your idea, so that others may not capitalize on what you have done, right? So there will be a sweet spot where all the three factors of idea, industrialization, and IP will be coming, and that is a successful product. So what happen is normally with the institutes I talk, they have always good innovations, right? They have innovations which uh, are something which they feel is good for the community, right? The normally the process that is being followed by the lot of foreign universities, it's completely opposite than what we are currently following. They are more focused towards what industry is needing, and then they're going after the solutions for that, right? So the problem they're figuring out is from the industries. What are the things are lacking in the industry? Let's take in a hypothetical example of electric vehicles. Currently, the electric vehicles at the max can have a 450 miles or 450 kilometers on clock on a one recharge, right? So that's the problem, right? When it comes to the petrol, the easy accessibility is there, or maybe the diesel, the easy accessibility is there. You can go from north to Kanyakumari, and you don't have to worry about the petroleum or the maybe the diesel. But if you take electric vehicle from north to Kanyakumari, you have to first find it out where are the electric charging stations, right? And that may hamper your overall path, right? So the current problem that industry is having is the range of electric vehicle is very less. So that is something is a problem of the industry. If you are going to solve it, you have an industry who is of billions or trillions dollar, and you will have an idea which will change the overall industry. So this is how the process is being done from the Jefferson, who was one of the founding universities for the COVID vaccines, right, with Bharat Pharmaceuticals from India. So they worked on this manner because they existingly trying to find out the problems which are there and then find out the solutions. So that is how you choose a successful product. You find the problems and you find a way out. So let's discuss about how we use it up. I'll have a quick slide on this. There is n number of ways you can use your research or maybe products that you're going to develop. You can publish in the journals, you can publish in the market, or maybe normally what happens is we put it on the YouTube and Facebook, right? And the WordPress and the maybe we sell it as a dollar value. So these are all the options which you can utilize for the output as a product, right? And trust me when I say uh, even the publishing in the journals may not solve a purpose for you as a startup, right? So you have to combine your research with industrialization and the IP. That is how you solve a problem. So let me get back to major emphasize that is how the idea should be selected, right? So here you can see that there is a four-way graph. Here you can see that in the horizontal axis we're talking about the time, and on the vertical axis we talk about the impact, right? So normally what happens is people select the ideas as per their feelings or gut feelings, which I did in my first start, right? I want to do good for the community. I said, okay, let's work it up on the organic supply chain, right? Let's build a good supply chain for the organic produce so that everybody will have a benefit. That's a normally very good idea, excellent idea. But the time it would have taken to develop is very much on the longer side. It would have taken like 10 years, right? And 10 years of waiting game for an idea is something which is not recommended from our side, right? So the selection of an idea is very, very important for you guys. For that, what I will highly recommend is understanding what is the impact of that particular idea, right? Let me give you an example from the education sector. Education sector, the online education sector was working for the last 10 years, right? But they were not able to compete target industry, which is a million or billion dollar industry, not 1,000 or maybe few lakhs of industry, right? So as I mentioned, if you have a good idea, go for the long term. If you have a high impact less time, that's a brilliant idea. Achieve it up. If it is less time, low impact, not your priority. If more time, low impact, forget it, pick to something else. Right. So this is how you go in the selection procedure. You talk about the creativity, you talk about the innovation. You combine those aspects on the selection of an idea. You put it on a mark where you understand that this what kind of market we are addressing, right? And what are the time frame we have to commit on. And that is something which will be very, very important for you guys when you are going ahead and placing your idea in front of VCs who is going to fund you on the ground. So let's discuss on a small aspect on what is search and problem solving. So if I talk about good research, we talk about diffusion and implementation initially, right? So you need to understand the market requirement, right? How the market is ready, right? Currently, our market is on the verge of being ready for electric vehicles, but if 1 or 2 years back it was not ready, right? So you need to understand your market. If you are going to launch a product in the market or launch a startup in the market, is market ready for it? Because I've seen a lot of startups fail to this. They fail on understanding that market was not ready. They consumed their budgets very quickly and they didn't have the funds to carry on, and the investors was not happy or they were not convinced, right? And the most easiest way of understanding a market is ready or not is facing up the competition. E-commerce in clothes is overexploit market, right? So you have to find it out a solution which is not overexplored, or something which is not underexplored, because either of these will trigger an impact on your startup, on the longevity of it when it comes to it, right? And always welcome competitive solution every time. That is the beauty of facing the competition. Novelty is one of the very important aspect and one of the most dangerous aspects also of an idea. If you have an idea which is creatively unique, it may work, right? It may not work. That is also a possibility, right? So you have to see all these parameters when it comes to finding an idea. What is the impact of that idea, right? What problem you are addressing, what industry you are implementing. You can go for the EV industries, or maybe you made a product for multiple industries, right? What are the experiments you have done on the past so that it becomes a viable solution for others? Are competitors there, and are market ready for it? So these are all the important factors that you need to evaluate your idea upon, right? Before even going ahead with any kind of registration of your own idea, right? So let me you want to work in electric vehicle segment, or you want to work in the vaccination segment, right? You can see that what are the existing problems in the current vaccines, or existing problems with the current e-commerce organization. Like for Amazon, the problem was that if they came to India in 2005 or 6, they would have failed because nobody in India was ready to pay money as a delivery service, because we were raised in a such a manner that we feel that we buy things at a price, but we don't appreciate if things coming to us at our homes, right? That's a cultural difference, right? In US and Europe, people pay 10% of their tips, of the restaurant bills, because that's a culture they appreciate, because somebody is bringing the food to their table, right? So that's a cultural difference. So that's a problem addressing way in which Flipkart addressed a different set of problems, and they picked two problems out of it, which was logistics and delivery fee, right? And then comes the solution approach, like what are the possible solutions are, which may be already implemented in the industry or which is currently unique. So here you can see that uh, for problem number one, there are 10 solutions which are addressing by the first one solution, right? And problem one, there are 28 solution twos and 28 solution threes. So this shows that for problem one, the most of the solutions are coming as from the solution number five, right? So you can make a metrics out of your an idea, where you list what are the problems and what are the possible solutions, and you can see that what are the different problems which are there, and you can see that what are the gray areas for this particular scenario. You can see, if we talk about problem 3, problem 4, problem 5, problem these problems are not well addressed when it comes to solution 1. So this is in a gray area in which you can work it out. So if we talk about in a practical manner, so currently I was seeing a local startup, and they were creating an hyper delivery chain, right? So what currently the problems they were addressing was what time that they can manage for the delivery from point to point. So they have listed, okay, solution one is they have multiple warehouses, right? And solution two can be their warehouses are more targeted towards the more congested areas, right? So that is how you can make a problem solution curve and analysis, and you can find it out what are the gray areas where you can actually capitalize. And that again works into the R&D a lot. If you know what product you are going after, you list down the problems that are there and you list down the solution, and then you can select it up. Okay, these are the problems which I need to be addressed with my product. Then you sport your or maybe you add these parameter to your existing idea, right? So this is how the selection of the curves can be done. I'll be more than happy to sit with the startup people and talk to them about what are the challenges they can face in the future. And so this is a particular way. Now I'll come to the another aspect, which again is something on my forte ground, is that once the product is ready from your side, you need to more emphasize on the protection of it, because a lot of pharmaceutical industries have missed their opportunities when it comes to India, and then that is one of the reasons that India became one of the most largest producer of the generic medicines on the global scale. And here you can see that you can protect your idea into multiple aspects. First of all, definitely you will come up with a good name, right? You will protect it as a TM or maybe a copyright, that most of the good startups are already being doing it, right? And if you have come up with a process, right, or maybe you have innovated something new additions or improvement in the past products, like you move it from LCD to LED with a new way of doing it, you should go ahead with a patent. And definitely what I highly recommend is, if you're creating a product that can always fall under the industrial design implementation, always protect that, right? So if we come up with what is the benefit of it when it comes to protecting your idea, so the most important is that you will have a selling value for that particular idea, right? So you can sell that particular idea, and that can become an asset to your organization, and that will come under your account books as an asset value. And later stage, you can license and you can earn a revenue out of it, right? And if your vision to create something in a different segment, you can definitely look forward to the getting a royalty in that direction also, right? And the most important aspect is the economic growth. Definitely will contribute to economic growth, and that is one of the major issues that we are facing with our Indian startup. India is among third and fourth when it comes to the number of startups, but when it comes to number of filing, we are even not in the top 10, right? So the reason behind is that we don't focus it as an economic growth. We more focus it as a startup to build a community, or maybe to sell it to on a initial point of view, right? So I'll just brief you about quickly about the patent. I will not take much of a time here, and I'll more than happy to address it up on the later stage. So this is how the patent looks like. You can have the title for your research. You can have the abstract and the priorities, and who are the, like, here is the MedPrime Technologies, one of the startup from the IIT Bombay, and they filed this an IP, and because that was a part of their research project, and that is how they started a MedPrime Technologies as a startup from one of the IIT Bombays, right? And the process is very simple. Understand your requirement completely. You can do a quick searches of existing solutions which are there. You can shortlist couple of solutions. You can work it up around those solutions and come up with what are the most important ones you need to address. And you can see that what kind of the prior arts which are already there, which are addressing such solutions, and you can mold your invention according to that, right? And I'll just move to the major aspect, just to give you an idea, like what are the things which are not patentable for your products. Anything which is as per the natural law, that is not patentable, like physics laws or math laws, that is not patentable. Then which is commercially exploitation, or which is contrary to the public use, which is not morally right, is not something which is patentable. Or which can be the mass destruction weapons, or embryos or stem cells, which are or any human animals or the plants improvements are somewhat patentable, somewhat not. So this is from our side. This is basically a flow chart for your reference. You need to validate your idea, file for IP, get it published, put a dollar value to it. You might have already done your market search during your idea time, and then you can licensing or transfer it. So this is all from our side, and I will looking forward to answer your queries. I'll welcome all the questions from your side. Thank you. Right.
Pratyusha, you're not audible, Rama. Pratyusha, you're not audible.
Oh, ma'am.
Yes, ma.
Now, ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Right. Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma, you are audible, ma.
Sir,
Okay.
actually, we have been attending so many workshop and entrepreneurial seminars, sir. But we hope you are the youngest entrepreneur and very successful entrepreneur we have met till date. We would have heard from elderly people who can perform gymnastics, saying age is not a number. But in the field, to achieve success in entrepreneurship, you have proved us that age is not a number. And thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us all the strategies about Flipkart and so on, and about and your vision and about your college days were also very inspiring, sir. We are really thankful to have you today, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
May I Dear participants, the link for feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Kindly go and kindly check it out. And I would now like to invite Mrs. Deepa Balendran ma'am from the Department of BA English to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Prashilsha. Am I audible?
Right. Ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Uh, Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. In fact, I have to say this: the way you presented and that whole, setup you've created itself has generated an idea to all the youngsters who are attending this session. A heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, on the behalf of our college, Dwarka Das Govardhan Das Vaishnav College, and the management, to our dear resource person for the day, Mr. Sarbdeep Sandhu. Sir, for sharing your expertise on problem solving and ideation. It was quite detailed and highly informative, sir. Thank you so much. I would like to thank our Honorable Secretary, Sri Ashok Kumar Mundraji, our dear Principal and President of IIC, Dr. S. Santosh Babu, Convener Dr. P. Vidya, Dr. R.
Yes,
Kumaran, Vice
Deepa.
President. Thank you so much for being part of the session. I would like to also thank our organizers, Dr. Prem Kumar Sir, Startup Coordinator, Dr. G. Yamuna Ma'am, Startup Member. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the IIC members, Lata Ma'am, Pratyusha for MC, for their support. This webinar would not have been possible without the support of the student coordinators. They need a special mention here: Pragatish, Krishnan, Balaji Rao, and Pratyusha from BCom. Last but not the least, everyone who attended this webinar, the students, the staff, the faculty members, you have all made it a huge success. Thank you so much. Over to you, Pratyusha.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let us all now raise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone.
I got it. I got it. Email. Thank you. Saudip, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. It's very inspiration, and our students are really motivated. And I really take this opportunity in thanking you for accepting our request. I'm sure our students would have been really fulfilled with their knowledge relating to all the innovation ideas you had given to them, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for inviting us. And I'm more than happy to have any kind of feedbacks. And secondly, if any of the startups would like to have a discussions about the valuation of their for their portfolio and for the valuation of their startup, I'm more than happy to assist them. They can reach me over the LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to answer their queries.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. I'll be in touch with you, sir. Definitely will be contacting Ray with ma'am regarding this, sir. I'd already talked with madam. I'll be discussing in detail with her soon, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
Yes.
Take care.
Students can leave the session and can join for the classes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Deepa, ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yamuna, ma'am. Thank you so much.